That's what life's all about. You learn something new every day. It's a simple expression, but you do.
It's hard to explain, and it's hard sitting here with Andrew and Alan, but I can look after Andrew. I'm a much better person because Alan's here, and some people might not be able to understand that, but I'm the person I am because of Andrew, and I don't want to leave him and lose him, but I still need something in my life, and that's where Alan comes in.
This is a story of what happened to a marriage when a life-limiting illness came to stay.
This is where I used to come to just to sit and think, and like my sort of private space. Looking for inspiration and strength all the time. I used to sit and think, if this was heaven, then this will do me. Just love this spot. So I always look at the early days as being, and I'm saying to people that we had a time that some couples never ever get. You know, a lot of precious time together.
Diagnosed 12 years ago. Retired from work 11 years ago.
Catherine and Andrew live in Alva, a small town that lies a few miles northeast of Stirling in Scotland. They are both nurses. Or at least Andrew was a nurse until multiple sclerosis entered his life.
Oh, the first few years were great. We used to have a lot of quality time. And the couch potato actually came out for walks, and then it was out in a chair, and then he was out in his wee scooter, and then the power trike was the greatest thing. And we used to go out and I would walk, and he would be out in his trike and he would tell me to go faster, walk faster, walk faster.
I actually didn't need much care to begin with. I was still walking, I was still driving. I still did the supermarket shopping because my wife hated shopping. Hated spending money. She didn't even like window shopping. Hallelujah. But believe you me, she's making up for lost time now. Maybe now that the shackles are off, that's it. But I'm sorry, I lost my track there. Where were we?
That sounds like the main track. We were talking about, you know, the days of shock, how things change when you receive a diagnosis like that.
Right, yes.
So it all happened very gradually, so you accepted each stage.
I don't think carers are any different from anybody else. People just don't realise their own capabilities until they're required to have these capabilities. I think it's part of our being that we don't realise our full potential until we need to realise that full potential.
You do things for someone because you love them. And it started off just being, I had to help him put his socks and shoes on. Then I had to help him put his trousers, his socks and shoes on. And I would maybe have to just wash his hair because he couldn't reach his arms up. And then I'd have to wash his back, and then I'd have to dry him. And things are so gradual that you're doing things and you're not actually thinking about what you're doing, you're just doing it for them. And then it was just becoming, the spasms were coming more and more, and it was getting harder for Andrew to go out. And I think he became more withdrawn himself, introverted, that he didn't want to go out as much. It was a hassle to go out, so I would go out a lot more myself. And I suppose it just became more and more over the years, just became more lonely, did less things together. It did take a long time. But you fight with it for years, and then you get to the point where you think, I can't live with this.
And she'll quite freely admit it. that she found it very difficult actually caring for me, physically and mentally.
I would say that's when everything really went, because we would sit here having a meal and we would be fine chatting away with our glass of wine and our dinner. And then after this deterioration, I would then be sitting right on the corner, because Andrew would be in his chair here, and I would have to give him a spoonful and then me a spoonful and then him a spoonful, and that was, we couldn't even sit and have a meal together, and I would have to lift his glass of wine, not his water, his wine up to his mouth, and I think that was the kind of end of it.
There must have been a point at which you said mutually, this is not working.
No.
Okay.
It's more me, it was more the anger. I think Andrew would just have let things go on because he wanted us still to be a family. But I was just getting so angry where I got to the point where I thought the only way I could move on was for Andrew's life to end. And that's really sad, wishing somebody's life away when they obviously still, despite all his disabilities, he still wants to be here. I think I have to put my specs on. I felt I disappeared for a while as a person. What? You know, we disappeared as a couple. Because even although Andrew wasn't able to do a lot of things, I still took him to concerts. Some of our friends would take him out to concerts. We still went out for meals. A big part of our life was eating and drinking and not excessively, but we love food, we love our wine, we love company, you know, and that just faded away. I've got a very loving family. My kids were always very, very good. Andrew is he's just an amazing person. He's a lovely person. And I just thought we would always be together. And it still hurts. You know, it's just, I've been with him since I was 18. And it just hurts.
It's a great way to find yourself. Your inner strength that you never knew. The potential that you've actually got and you've never realised. And you might have to realise it now.
Yeah, but I think I knew if I left it was because I had to meet someone else, because I was so lonely. Although you're still a couple, you just get really lonely. Two people have a life in this. I think you have to remember that you both have a life in this. In our life, although we had this, I always talk about us having MS because it does affect you all. I don't really know what I could say to people.
But we've all got the potential to make something of the condition we find ourselves in.
Andrew's first reaction to Catherine's decision was to check himself into Lukey House, a respite care centre near North Berwick for those living with MS and other neurodegenerative conditions.
Because I went to Lukey just after my wife told me that she was leaving me. And I think I cried for the whole fortnight that I was there. And the staff there were very good. I mean, they were very understanding. The first thing to do, obviously, is have a bloody good cry.
It wasn't just the Lukey staff who could empathise with Andrew, but patients also, many of whom had faced similar personal crises themselves.
It's a regret in life, I mean, to lose somebody that you care for. Be it a death or a split up or anything like that. Your natural reaction is to cry for the loss, in inverted commas. But then comes an understanding of, well, there must be a reason. So it's understanding the reason for it that really helps you through that period. My experience as a 60-year-old, basically, having lived life and having been a nurse, having listened to many tales, you need to be a good listener as a nurse. And as I said, be non-judgmental. So you've got to come to terms with the fact and understand what the basis of the breakup is. I mean, there must be a good reason for it.
Spark was the word he used, that a spark had gone.
Oh, the spark had gone. Definitely had gone.
You're physically incapable of doing, if you understand what I mean, doing what you did then to share with your wife. It could be that, it could be a simple tiring of each other. That happens. I mean, shit happens all the time. I mean,
you know, I think our relationship was we have a lot of respect for each other, and I think trying to keep that in the relationship, you know, respect to me is a big thing.
I mean, relationships live on the spark. You know, I might need an injection of butane at times to bring that spark back to life. But there comes a point where the candle has gone out. The candle on the wax. I said, I'll have to remember that one. Once the wax is gone, you know, there's no way you'll revive that candle.
And did you feel guilt about that?
Oh, wow. Very much.
What was that?
Terrible guilt.
Selfishness,
like I was abandoning him, and I was scared that the family would break up. I didn't want to be judged as a bad person because I'm not a bad person.
She's found a new partner who I got on with. We've got a very easy relationship.
Do you think you're still a couple?
Yeah. I mean, Alan will probably find that hard.
Yes.
But, yeah. I mean, people talk about your ex, and I can never talk about Andrew as my ex.
We get on far better now than we did in the 2 years prior to our breakup, which was just before our 30th wedding anniversary.
I think it's harder for the two men. Because Alan doesn't want... He knows how Andrew must be feeling, if you can understand that.
I can understand that, and also that there's something about your and Andrew's relationship that ultimately is unreachable by anyone else.
Yeah.
And that can be threatening sometimes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To a certain extent, actually, I'm definitely not. I wouldn't say no to another woman in my life, but that's a difficult one, very difficult one, given that I'm sharing the other woman in my life, and her partner has realised that we still have a love for each other, even though we don't live with each other.
I don't think you really realised how much emotions would be involved in it.
No.
You know.
Definitely not.
Because,
it's very difficult.
as I said before, we were friends, work colleagues, knew each other, just chatted about how life was. And Alan knew that if he took me on, he had to take all this lot on too.
It's from day one it's been like that. Yes. So and there's been several people in amongst the family that weren't sure they wanted to meet me at all.
They've still not met Alan because they can't cope with they love Andrew so much they find it difficult to meet Alan. But we're working on it.
We've all found out what we're all about and how I care for people as well. They've taken me on board as well, so it's been really good. There's obviously effort involved. You've got to be there for everybody. It's a huge commitment to take on, especially in my circumstances. I've never really had a big family around about me.
It has been difficult. You have to work at it. Of course you've got to work at anything that's worth saving is worth working for, working hard at, isn't it?
It's a good experience, it's a valuable experience in my estimations.
It's a good experience, but also it's the sort of thing that you only get one shot at.
You certainly do, yeah. You get it right or you're out in your ear.
It's just the pressures. The pressures, the guilt, the hurt. But if you can work through it, you can still have all this.